Hello and welcome to another Points of Interest with your hosts Joey Traina and Demetrius Minor.
Good to be with you again.
It's good to have you on this 70th anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
That's right.
So another day to remember. A lot of heroes lost and a lot of history there, of course.
A day that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the time said this was a day that will live in infamy. Joey.
Sure has.
And it's a great time to reflect upon the sacrifices that was made. Absolutely. And to also, it's interesting to note that we are actually allies with Japan.
Oh yeah.
Right now,
things change.
Things have changed dramatically.
So the conversation has shifted, and there's a lot of, thought, reflection on both sides, and about war in general and conflict, and so we'll try to never forget. Also, actually, a lot of heroes lost on that day, and actually a couple of heroes lost recently in the local area.
That's right, Joe.
As of late, actually beginning with Lieutenant General Gray, who's having a visitation this evening at First Baptist Church, 6 to 9 with a service at 7 o'clock. And Lieutenant General Gray, Robert Gray, has had some pieces in Augusta Chronicle. If you don't know him, you should definitely Google him. He's a fantastic man. I had the pleasure, the honor, to meet him on the weekend just prior to his passing. Unfortunately, he was he was in a car accident, and that's how he lost his life.
And I met him long in the 90s when my dad was working at Signal Towers at Fort Gordon, and I think he was commanding general at that time.
That's right.
And
he was the first and to date only black
that's correct.
commanding general of the fort.
And I remember my father was proud to introduce me to him. And it was a very unique moment and huge loss for the Augusta community.
Absolutely. Lieutenant John Gray, even after leaving his post as commander of the fort, never lost his passion, never lost his love for the troops, and he shared it with all of us. I have to admit, I never really knew how to thank our servicemen and women until he put it so eloquently on that weekend before he left us. He was chair of the Columbia County Democratic Party, and I was he was speaking at a breakfast that we were holding for Richmond County's Democratic Party, and shared with us, how important it is to take care of the servicemen and women that return and their families and their families' because they are so interwoven, interconnected to the fabric of America. And we as civilians, we don't experience it, but what their families go through day to day is something that it's hard to imagine. And so we owe them a great debt of gratitude, and more than being thankful, it's important for us to express that we are obliged to them.
Absolutely.
You say thank you when somebody gives you your change back, at the store, but for someone whose job, whose livelihood is protecting and standing for, us, it's incredible. So you have to express that.
Like myself, who is a military brat, my father served 20 years in the United States Army. I understand how important the sacrifices of the military are and how vital the military is to this great nation. And I do agree with you. We need to be grateful for them and thank them on a daily basis, not just on holidays or not when a tragedy happens, but we should always know that we are in debt of their gratitude and their service.
Absolutely. So, if you are so moved, please at least think of Lieutenant General Gray and his family. And if you can, make it out to the visitation this evening. It should be well attended. There's a lot of love in this city for Lieutenant General Gray. Now, also more personal, but also a member of the military, Coach Gamblin was in the Army Rangers, and actually just this past year had been, coming back from another tour in Iraq, and
Thomas Gamblin.
Yes, right. I'm sorry, Thomas
Academy
Gamblin,
of Richmond County.
Who we had the pleasure of meeting and learning under. It's not easy to make psychology interesting, and something you want to hear about every day, but he did it.
Did you take it for history as well?
No, I just took him for senior year, AP Psychology,
Right.
first class in the morning.
That's right, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes it's hard. You just waking up, you going to school, you're wondering, you know, is it worth it? No, the man taught with passion, and
That's
he
right.
knew what he was talking about. And
He was buff, too. Like, he was, like, really swole.
The guy was, he was a superhero.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I
right.
mean, he was a superhero were it not for him being, you know, being mortal. And unfortunately, that's he suffered from a heart attack on the Tuesday just before Thanksgiving, and I'm sorry, the Wednesday, and in Chicago where they've had services for him, but I was able to attend it was somewhat of a memorial over at the barbecue pit behind Julian Smith, and again, well attended, a lot of love for Coach, as I'll always refer to him, because he was a cross country coach of mine, and and you know
he was a great teacher. I had him for history. I had him for psychology. I want to share something that Coach Gamblin told our class. I would never, ever forget it. We were seniors, and I was the class of 2003. And Coach Gamblin said, if 10 years from now, you say that your greatest accomplishment was graduating from high school, you have failed miserably.
Wow.
And
that's Coach for you.
And that's Coach. And basically, he told us, he says, high school graduation is a milestone. It's a great accomplishment, but you need to do more of your life. You need to go beyond. And I remember all of us was sitting there in the classroom. We was like, wow, Coach, did he just really say that?
I mean, you don't expect teachers to, you know, be so honest with you. But
you know, boost your confidence.
Exactly.
But he said, if you sit back and say that your greatest accomplishment is high school graduation, you have failed miserably. Yeah. And that encouraged me to go beyond, Joey, and to do more, and to not just be average. And that will always.
No, he shared with us his experience with working in admissions at Clemson, and he told us basically it doesn't matter what college you go to, it doesn't matter what you know, career you take following high school. Just do it, do something, do it well, enjoy it. You know, be proficient at it, and that's what Coach did. I mean, he excelled at just about anything and everything, and he could tell you great stories about learning to be great at something. Right. One of the things that I remember was, you know, he loved it's psychology, so he loved to tell us about, you know, development of the mind and the body, and you know, he really impressed upon us how much work and enduring can improve you. You know, scar tissue is the strongest skin tissue. You know, when you exercise a muscle and you flex it and you use it, it actually does damage to the muscle. But when it recovers stronger than ever. Right. And those are words I'll never forget coming from him. Now it's my hope that with this great loss, because he was still teaching, and with the loss to his family, I'm hopeful that in the same spirit. We can get through this pain and recover even stronger as a community. You know, somehow, if it's possible for his family. Right.
And for the ARC community, this is the second loss this year.
Oh, that's right.
That, the Academy of Richmond County, me and Joey's former high school alumni, has suffered a loss. So this school, this community, definitely needs some comforting.
And if there were ever a figure to emulate, I mean, Coach Gamblin is it. I mean, again, he's a superhero. He's a man worth emulating. Right. You know, worth following, worth trying to figure out and practice. You know, the lessons from. Similarly, my senior quote, I had him in mind when I picked Mark Twain. Don't let school get in the way of your education, because you get the feeling that with a man like you know, Coach Thomas Gamblin, that there's always more. There's always something else to be striving for. Right. And so I had him in mind when I went for that, and I'll continue to, and I'll hopefully do right by him and continue to share those lessons with others. So, in any case, keep both Lieutenant General Gray and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on
Coach
the title,
Thomas
but
Gamblin.
Otherwise, Coach Thomas Gamblin, also member of the Army Rangers, in your thoughts and prayers. But we'll persevere.
That's right.
Today with this episode.
Right.
What's on the what's going on now?
Well, in pop culture, Sunday, Tiger Woods won his first event since November of 2009.
Okay, a lot's happened since then. Right.
A lot has happened. Me personally, I was very happy for Tiger. I don't condone the actions that he did. But I'm a person that believes in comebacks. I do believe in second chances. I think that the second chances initiate comebacks. And the way that he did it, he was trailing by 1 with 2 holes left to play. He birdied the 17th hole to tie it. And then on the 18th hole, Zach Johnson, his playing partner, missed his birdie putt. And Tiger Woods, you can just feel it. You can just feel that it was built for this moment. And it was about 8 feet shy, and he hit the birdie shot, and you can see the exuberance on his face.
Okay.
He didn't know what to describe it, but maybe some kind of sense of vindication, a sense of satisfaction for Tiger Woods.
Okay.
And,
you're turning this into poetry, man. It's incredible. But my question to you is, so are you equating this this athletic achievement, as of late, to maybe a personal?
Well, for the game of golf, a Tiger comeback would be very good. I mean, let's just face it.
Well,
golf has just fell off.
Golf needs some help, right?
Right. Are people interested in golf anymore? I mean, unless you're a diehard golf enthusiast.
You know what I think of when I think golf? 1%. And I'm sorry, and it's not obviously it's not, there are people who golf that aren't in the 1%, obviously. But, I don't know. It's kind of.
Is this kind of a jab at the Augusta National?
No, it's not a jab necessarily. I think maybe just in the public,
Right.
in what's going on in the world right now, I think golf probably isn't up at the top
Well,
of
you
everyone's
do
list
know
because
that
of kind of what it represents.
A lot of business deals
takes.
are done on the golf course.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
People see
From
golf
the 1%, right? No, I'm just kidding.
but people see golf as a matter of breaking the ice.
Right.
But
Harder to make those deals in basketball, I can see. It'd be harder to, while you're shaking somebody, what are we going to do in the third quarter?
Move,
Okay,
But, it could be symbolic for a comeback for Tiger Woods. And I think he desperately needed this victory for his self-confidence, if more than anything.
Okay. Well, if you can get Tiger on the show, we'll talk more about that. I don't know.
That's going to be. I'm going to have to do some major PR work for that.
I mean, and again, no jab on golf. I used to play with First Tee, and I mean, I enjoyed it. It's fun.
It's a stress reliever.
Putt-putt's also good, of course. Less dramatic, but I mean, I guess maybe you couldn't make it as eloquent as you were, putting, Tiger's latest performance here. But I don't know. I guess I'd love to see golf doing more for the everyman. You know what I mean? Maybe if clubs weren't a couple $100 each. And
well, it's interesting that you say that because this one was, he donated all his earnings to charity.
That's great.
And a lot of golfers do have like golf tournaments. They're definitely designed.
Oh, that's right. And we have things
charity.
Locally where people raise money to go toward, some issue or some
so in
charity
essence,
organizations.
maybe golf may not be the 1%.
Maybe not. That hopefully I'm all for that. I'm all for changing that.
It's also
that,
good to get back
that
to
perception.
the community.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So, anything else big going on, Joey?
Well, I do want to just plug real quick. There's going to be a blood donation. I think it's called the Give-In this year at First Baptist Church, and it's going to be from 10. I'm sorry. Let me go on my little cheat sheet here. It's going to be from.
While he's he's getting that information, I remember when I first gave blood in high school.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I ran a drive at Richmond too.
It was Shepherd's Community Blood Center, and I was a junior, and the Interact Club was giving it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I did it so I can get out of class.
Oh, okay.
And to get some food afterwards.
Right.
And I just remember that I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm about to faint. I couldn't. I'm thinking, they're gonna stick a needle into you, and in a couple seconds you're out. So I'm laying down and saying, hey guys, what you done? They're like, oh, maybe 15 more minutes.
Did it hurt? Because sometimes it hurts, but usually it doesn't. Usually it's good.
My stomach felt a little weak. I'm not sure. I'm sure I ate a good breakfast that morning, but I just felt a little nauseous. I'm like, 15 more minutes?
And when I say hurt, I don't want to scare anybody. When I say hurt, I just mean a little pinch. You just feel the slightest little pinch, and then
because they took a pint of blood, and I just remember looking at that bag, and they was telling me, it was like, well, we got to get this bag full.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I'm like, oh my God.
You didn't know that.
What did I get myself into? And that's the consequences I had to pay for, skipping out on the education.
Oh, well, but have you given blood since then? If you haven't, we're gonna get you out there. I'll tape it. I'll take a picture of it happening.
2002. I believe I have given.
Okay, you believe. I know I have because I think it's the greatest thing. You save up to 3 lives doing it. You're not using it anyway. You're gonna get that blood back. It's not like if as long as you're keeping a healthy diet and you can give blood, because there are some things that disqualify you. But in any case, First Baptist Church,
Unless
10
you
a.m.
have tattoos as well.
Right, tattoos and piercings. Some piercings will get you out of it. So 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Again, save up to 3 local lives and get some good dinner. You mentioned the food. There's that. They always have a really nice spread out there. And child care is also provided. So if you bring the little ones, they got a little. I'm gonna bring my little 2-year-old. He's gonna be playing around, and they know him. Actually, most of the ladies there, know us when we come in. They ask, "Where's Armin?" Because he's a ham. He'll play around.
Right.
So I mean that's. Let me see if got any more local things. Not so much. So, but nationally, goodness, some big things happened earlier this week. Somebody we've been talking about just about every episode of this program. We won't have anything to talk about anymore.
Well, Herman Cain suspended his campaign.
He said he's suspended, but then it's
for people who may not be familiar with why people quote unquote suspend their campaign, what that means is that he can still actively receive donations. I actually received word that Bill Clinton's campaign is still active.
Really? Okay.
I mean,
I'm sure he's got plenty of other campaigns at this point.
But what that really means is that he can receive donations and possibly transfer the campaign donations. And I'm not speaking on behalf of Herman Cain because I don't know what he's going to do.
This is your best.
But he probably can take the money for the campaign and transfer it to like a PAC fund or something like that. So, or there's the notion of
all the love and campaign finance here.
There's the notion that he can suspend it and still jump back in.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he will do it, but and of course
maybe next time he finds a better quote, something to bring him in. Because he had a great quote coming out from the Pokemon movie. This Pokemon movie, 11 years ago, this movie came out. There aren't any other animated films more recently that have inspiring words.
I don't think that's really too big of a deal.
You don't think the dude was trying to be president of the country, and he uses a quote from a movie? Not even, it was...
But people can either... I'm indifferent either way. I don't really care for Pokemon. If another candidate was to quote Pokemon, it's not going to make me think worse or better about that person. It's a movie. Who cares? At the end of the day, I don't think people are going to go into a ballot box and be like, I'm not going to vote for Obama, or I'm not going to vote for whoever the nominee is, because they quoted a line off a movie.
Mickey Mouse over, somebody. No, absolutely. No, I'm not saying that his Pokemon quote made him, ridiculous altogether. It was the all around. It was the nail in the coffin, because his experience or lack thereof, and other statements that have to do with important issues, are really what disqualified him. The Pokemon thing is just it's just some. Where did I want to be there? I want to be there when he decided that was a good idea. Or who told him?
But the thing about Herman Cain,
or where did that come from?
This is what I like about Herman Cain. Herman Cain is Herman Cain. He's going to be Herman, and the thing about
which means he's not going to be president.
but you know what? I believe that he is going to have a bigger force, and I like what he said. That was Plan A. He says, but good business people always have a Plan B. So he says, instead, he was not able to change Washington from the inside, so he's going to try to change Washington from the outside.
Well, I know he had his radio program before in Atlanta. What does he have a spot at Fox News now? Can he jump on the board with their?
Yeah, he said he was not interested in that. People always made this notion, he's going to become a Fox News contributor, or he's going to do, he's going to.
There's a trend.
I don't know. What Herman Cain is going to do next. I'm very interested to see what he's going to do next, but I do believe that he will be a factor. He will be a force.
And it's a shame with his book that came out. This is Herman Cain. I am Herman Cain. Something like that.
Yeah, this is Herman Cain.
This is Herman Cain. Because at the end of it, he makes a very strong prediction that he is president of the United States. He will be president of the United States.
I don't know what's going to transpire from now until the general election. Stranger things.
Do you think maybe he'll run again? Do you think maybe, 2016?
There have been some serious issues targeted towards his family. And I'm not sure that, and I can't speak for him, but I'm not sure if he wants to go.
Would you want him to run again?
that would be a decision for him to make.
Would you like to see him run again? Would you like to
I
have the opportunity to?
I wish I would have liked.
I
I would have loved for him to stay in the race and to fight, but based on what happened towards his family, in particular.
Well, why didn't I see? He didn't fight. It didn't seem like he was fighting any of that. He didn't, he didn't make any charges of slander or defamation on any of these people that were saying things about him. And that seemed not to come from a place of strength. You know, if you are running a campaign, you're trying to run for president, why not try to either put a gag order or a silencing order on these people that are saying things about you if they aren't true?
Well, because he is a public official, and I'm not sure what public officials can do. I have heard that there are some restraints.
Public official, what is that? That doesn't.
He's in the public spot. He's a.
The filings are all the same.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. If you wanted to do all that, it would have been a long, drawn-out process.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, it would have been. And
so is running for president.
Well, yeah, but at the time, you don't really have time to go to court and fill out all this paperwork and do all the legal things.
That's your opinion. I don't believe that. I don't think that's a
candidates have always been targeted before. So now, I don't know if he's actually doing that now.
I don't know.
We'll see. But
Pokemon, man. So he has kids, and I guess he has grandkids also. I'm trying to figure out, where do you get this from?
I don't understand.
I remember being, it was 11 years old, so 11 years ago, so I must have been, like 13, 14. I remember going to that movie with my little brother and my mom.
I've never seen Pokemon.
And I remember feeling really inspired by the story. It was about, two sides that eventually come together, and they find out fighting isn't they shouldn't fight each other. But I don't even remember that Donna Summer song at the end.
I don't remember any of it.
That is what stuck with him to the very end of his campaign.
It's a non-issue.
It's amazing. It's a non-issue.
It's a non-issue.
You're right. It's a non-issue.
I think people are more going to be substance on what happened surrounding the campaign. If you talk to people about him.
That's the other thing. I think it's better for him if we focus on his Pokemon statement rather than the statements he made on Libya or the statements he made on tax reform or statements he made on the black community and why they don't support him.
Let me remind people.
Those are all things that are much more controversial.
The same thing they said about Herman Cain was the same thing they said about Ronald Reagan. Remember, no. People
what?
Stand
Were you around when Ronald Reagan was running?
When Ronald Reagan was running, people didn't like him. People thought he was inexperienced. People didn't think he was up for the job. They labeled him as some buffoon actor.
Ronald Reagan didn't have all these women coming out and making statements about sexual harassment or a 13-year affair.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Ronald Reagan never made any disparaging comments to
I'm glad you
the
brought
black
that
voting bloc.
Well, Herman Cain just told it like it is.
He told it how he saw it, and a lot of people don't see it that way.
And actually, a lot of people agree with him.
I'm sure a lot of people do on his side of the political
but
sphere.
I'm glad you brought up the affairs because the allegations.
You are?
Yeah, I am. The guy who hired Herman Cain, I believe his name is Biff Naylor. He was on the board of directors for the National Restaurant Association.
A reputable establishment.
Right.
They lobby for places that make terrible food for people nationwide.
The point is, he was the board of directors that hired Herman Cain. Sharon Bilek, the blonde woman who came out and said that Herman Cain sexually harassed her, and she provides some graphic details, which I won't go into. But she was fired before Herman Cain ever started working for the NRA. Also, the same woman.
Didn't he say he knew her, though?
No. He said he never knew her.
So then, how was there a settlement between them? If
that's no. You're referring to the first woman when he said that he told her that she was the same height of his
Okay,
wife.
so she got a settlement. This Bilek woman did not get a settlement at all.
No. Herman Cain never knew her. Never met her. And she told Biff Naylor. She says, "Hey, you're handsome. Can we go out to dinner?" And he said he was very surprised at how bold she was. And and other people had received some other complaints, and he knew that this woman was going to be a problem. So anyways, she was fired before Herman Cain came
So she was
to work.
fired for sexual harassment. Now that is a twist ending.
So
that's hilarious.
But anyways, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal 3 major news sources.
I think we've heard of it.
Contacted Biff Naylor about his story. He told them this story. They never published it.
It was. I mean,
and
it
this
was interesting
was
to see
something-
what was going on at that time, but that's again,
Well, it
it's
shows.
it's a
shows.
story. So it's he says, she said, which is basically what the Herman Cain's
But
camp
my
has been
point
saying is the problem.
But my point is,
if the women can say one thing,
the media only reported one side of the story. Yeah.
I think Herman Cain said a lot of things about
this
that.
was
I think he was reported as saying, he flatly denied it. What
Right,
have
but
you.
you
But
also
this
had-
story, you're upset that this story didn't make it. The story
Well, I'm saying
about
if this story would have
Biff's,
came out weeks ago, this could have been a game
account.
changer. It would have
Really?
adamantly showed that these women were
So
lying.
Biff's account of
Right.
her saying something, but
Right.
then she
And
can
not-
just
her not
flatly
even
deny it
meeting-
also. I mean, that's
Yeah,
if all we have is he said, she said, then that's, I mean, I think there's enough of that in the news anyway.
Yeah, there is enough of that. But
so-
this was the media, and I've actually talked to Politico, the chief columnist for Politico, who admitted that, even though they didn't have no adamant evidence, there's like, well, how would you feel if one woman came out and accused you of sexual harassment and your company paid her off? And we all know that it's easier to settle things out of court because of lawyer fees and whatnot. Sure. But the media during this
Well, a lot of businesses have their own protocol as to how to deal with these things. So.
The fact is, the allegations had a toll on his wife. His wife had the deciding factor on why he should withdraw from the campaign. And I actually respect him a whole lot more.
Makes a lot of sense.
Because a lot of people, they want to, hey, I'm going to continue regardless of what other people say. But his wife, who has some serious health issues,
he should have told her, just stick with it, like Newt Gingrich. He's made it. He's still in the sphere. His poll number is doing great, and we can persevere.
But we can't speak for his wife.
He's actually proven to have had affairs, and he's
True.
Now the front runner. So.
Well, the difference between Gingrich and Cain is that Gingrich's business, he had already got that out there from years ago. People already know about it. Now, if people want to hold that against him, that's their choice. But from a media perspective, you can't really go out there and dig up anything new about it because people already know.
It's not news. Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
absolutely.
it's not news.
Okay.
While these allegations and these accusations, this was what you would call new news. And it put a cloud of doubt.
Well, sure, about this guy that really not a whole lot of people knew anything about other than, his being CEO or Godfather's Pizza.
Now, the question is, interesting enough, you said if he was to run again, people will already be aware of these accusations, which I do want to point out, still no evidence has been proven. So if he was to run again,
well, in a court of law, because again, there have been
that's
no
the difference
legal
between
filings,
that's the difference between the
they
court
have-
of public opinion and the court of law. It's no
Right.
longer
A lot of these
innocent.
women have evidence that can be viewed in
Right.
outside of the court of law.
It's no longer,
but
and this is coming from a media perspective, it's no longer innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty until proven innocent.
okay.
And that's what pretty much angered me the most out of this whole saga. I felt that speaking
But
from
that's
a
what I'm
media
saying. He didn't fight, man. He wasn't out there trying to prove innocence.
I disagree with you.
Well,
I think he was fighting for his character. I think he was fighting for his namesake.
Sure.
But
But I mean, he wasn't fighting against specific allegations. It wasn't saying these phone records are false or saying the reason.
that's not true. I mean,
I think
the
maybe
attorney,
one of the
his
things I heard
attorney
him
actually
say,
demanded the phone records and the text messaging records.
okay.
So
Were they able to provide them? Because I mean, a lot of people saw them.
right, and out of the 61 text messages that were sent between him and the latest accuser, only 17 were for him. So there's a lot of questions out there.
Were for him. Were sent to him from them. Is that what you're saying?
Sent from him.
From him.
So it shows that there's more to this than meets the eye.
And I'm gonna be glad when next episode we have absolutely nothing to say about Herman Cain. But who do we know? Do we know if he's gonna be endorsing anybody? I thought he was trying to get cozy with Mitt Romney now. Or?
No. I'm just assuming if he endorses anyone, which probably won't be anytime soon, it'll probably be Newt Gingrich.
All right. Well, in any case,
That about wraps it up.
that about wraps it up. Sorry we weren't able to have Jill Peterson on again this week. She had something to deal with the citystink.net. But please check out citystink.net to follow more of what she's doing in local news, and also Augusta Today on on Facebook. Check out our page on Facebook, the official Points of Interest page, where you can start a conversation or carry on some of the ones we started today.
Yeah,
Everybody have a great week. See you at the blood drive.